Hello, I'm Starr Fuentes, and welcome to Casa Alma. This is Ra, my bird, and Bosco, and Merlin. I hope you enjoy Conversations with Starr. Remember, there's a certain piece in there that is perfect for you. And as you grow and change, review the video again, because another piece will be perfect for you.
What do you do to prepare for a healing session with a client, Starr?
What do I do? Well, nothing very much anymore, but in the beginning I did a lot of things. I made sure I was grounded, I made sure I was connected, and most importantly, I made sure that none of my emotions or judgments were in the way. If I was having a bad day, and I get myself out of that bad day and be there with my client. As you heal over the years and stuff, you can prepare instantly in 1/4 second. But as a new healer, ground, connect, clear, and stay in now time. That's the most important. And don't talk back into your head to the clients. Because believe it or not, on a subconscious, unconscious level, they hear you. And you know what I mean by that.
I know what you mean by that, but for the benefit of my students who might buy this tape, I want you to talk about it.
So, for example, a client says, well, I've been doing everything I can to heal. And your voice in your head may be mostly whining. Or something like that. You don't talk back to your client. No matter what state or condition they're in, you are then in a state of judgment or a state of superiority to your client. You are only a drinking straw. Your judgments, your opinions have zero value in the healing. Your discernments about their states or conditions have tremendous value. And being able to filter in our own self and be aware of our own self, what is a judgment and what is a discernment? That spot needs a lot of healing. Would be a discernment. Boy, she's in shitty shape. Would be a judgment. Watch your words. Watch your words. When you're talking about he or she, that's usually a judgment. When you're talking or verbalizing about a disease or a condition, physical condition, emotional or mental condition, that's usually a judgment.
Okay, now this is really good. Could we take that a step further? You're talking about, a logical thought process where you say, oh God, you whine a lot in your head. That's the thought that comes through. Suppose you have a client that is really
Whiny
and perfect martyr and plays it to the hilt and has been doing it for 40 or 50 years. And one of the questions I get asked in teaching is, what happens when our feelings respond to that person? You feel like, ugh, or you get angry with the healee, or you respond with a feeling of being pitiful towards them. And it's not a thought thing, but it's a feeling, because some of my students have asked me, said, we respond in feelings and we really feel sad for some of these people who are so terribly sick.
If it's not your issue, it's not your tissue. So when you have emotional feelings going through you and you see that someone's a little bit of a victim or a large bit of a victim and you have 2% victim, your thought process unconsciously will be, well, gee, when I'm 70, nobody's going to listen to me, or nobody listened to my mother. So when there's a feeling, that means there's resonance. When there is a blessing or a prayer or an energy, that means you're being a healer. So when your students have feelings and judgments about someone, then they have that in their essence. And the person, a victim, has come in here like 90% victim. And I might have 1% victim. And after 2 days, that person has triggered my 1% victim. So have them understand that that's where Spirit and Source is telling them, That's where they have to work. Whatever you pity, whatever you feel sorry for, whatever you make fun of, or whatever you say, oh, I could never be that much of a victim. Trust that you have that in there. Whether it's judgment of, ooh, they're so sick they'll never make it, or I feel so sorry they're so sick. You're not in neutral territory, and you're not a neutral conduit for Source. And that's okay, because Source comes through in many ways to refine your healer. Anytime there's feelings, you have that issue, whether it be 1% or 90%. Does that answer that question?
Yes, and it's really a good point because it's not something that generally gets taught when you're working with a student, and people go on to become healers and they tend to judge themselves because of their responses to the clients.
But please remember, when you're healing and you have your hands on somebody and the energy's flowing, ooh, good, good, and you're just there, ooh, good, good, and you got going, the next minute you go, oh, well, what about my grocery list? Or, ooh, geez, I stopped paying attention. Please remember what I was telling Pat. The energy goes in, and during that regroup period, when that energy is refining itself, your thoughts may wander. You may say, oh, God, these ceilings are nice. Nice wallpaper. Gee whiz, I'm bored. And then all of a sudden you're with Source again. Healing is a wave. And there'll be moments where you're distracted. Now, this distraction is about the regrouping and the integration of the healing energies that you shared with Source with this person. When they stop, your mind goes someplace else, and then 2 seconds, 2 minutes, or 20 minutes later, you're going to find you're just as intense of a healer there. And when you kind of have neutral thoughts like that, that's cool. When you're going, oh my God, nothing's happening. What am I going to do? Am I going to do another technique? When you get into judgment, then judgment starts actually sapping energy from the client. So we have to teach that healing is a wave. We have to teach that there are natural integration regroup periods where no thing is coming through, and we have to honor those periods by saying, yes, I do need a manicure. Okay, is the integration period over? Not quite. And not judging ourselves for not being there 100%. If you gave someone 100% healing, you might blow out their circuits. You might put them in bed for 2 weeks. But you heal as a wave, and this is an important part of the healing process. Does that answer that question?
Yeah, it does for me. I strive, really, it's my focus is to teach my students that our intent is what allows us to be present. And there are times when they cannot watch that wave of energy because it's down and they don't see it. But it's very hard for new students to understand that.
And the students who experience and practice will eventually become the healers and the master healers. And the new students who have intentions of being healers will get through that. The new students who are just playing around won't. And only time and practice will tell you that. As healers and master teachers, we're here to give people an experience. We're not here to comfort them when they go through these experiences. We're not here to give them an understanding. Understanding is the booby prize. I don't understand how my refrigerator works. I really don't care. As long as I can put my water in there and it's nice and cold and Jell-O can make and my dairy products don't spoil, I know the function. And beginning healers strive for understanding. When you become a healer, you know that it works, you know that it functions, you know the energy goes through, so the questions for understanding are not so important. My measure of when a beginning healer becomes an intermediate healer is the moment they stop asking questions about understanding the process. When you know, the questions change to, Starr, when you know that this and this is happening, what follows next, or what's the ABC of it? They're not asking me why. And that's a good place for you to discern when the beginning healers have become intermediate healers. And breathe.
During the times that we spent a long time here, the the places where I felt I've grown as a healer have been not so much when we had a class and it's cognitive kinds of stuff, but it's when we were at the table working with clients or working with each other, whichever side of the table we're on. But it's the experience.
The caught teaching, not the taught teaching.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the neat. Yeah.
Well, I guess
love
I fall into the realm of a beginning healer because I'm going to ask a why question, but you've got the person having to be willing and not in denial in order to receive the healing. You've got the healer having to have the right intention and not ego going on. But if everything is perfect, how do you know, or is it important to know whether or not this person is predestined to have to deal with this, or if this is an issue where they would go into tense touch and try to figure out what is causing this?
It's really not important to know. What is really important to do is to do your job. And I have had people who were so willing, so ripe, had written 10 metaphysical books underneath my hand and told me how fast and how quick they're going to heal, and zero has happened. And I had people dragged in here kicking and swearing and cursing and have had them heal in 5 minutes. Sometimes it's not about the intention and the willingness. Sometimes it is about just doing my job. And my job is to run and provide energy from source through me. It is not my job to decide whether they're willing, whether my intention is good enough. My job is to do my job as a healer. I don't make decisions about who's going to heal.
But would you recommend that one pursue trying to figure out where
No.
this illness is coming from?
No, one may pursue in giving the client the solution or the original cause of their healing, but for you to sit and figure out why all of your clients are sick and how you can fix them is an ego question, because Source God fixes them. And if you just mention their name, synchronicity or Source will give you answers. And we're back to doing things. And then you start doing again with your clients. And like Pat says, when he feels right there, when he's just right there, he can do the techniques. But when he starts planning it, same thing. When I start filling out tons of paperwork about each client and their whole background, I lose it. Healing is a now time adventure.